Hi, Demeter here. In this video I want to talk about how I created the world of Sileo. Mainly I'm going to talk about the visuals and what was the thought process behind certain decisions to how to make the world look. Sileo is my animated sci-fi short film which was based on the Ship of Theseus thought paradox, and it explores the future, AI, identity and a lot of other subjects. There are going to be spoilers here for sure, so if you haven't seen the short film, I suggest you go over to the description, there's a link to it, and watch the short film now, and then come back to here, because I'm going to spoil a few things when I'm going to explain how the world came to be. To be able to create a world, I had to think about the rules. I had to come up with the rules, make the world work in a certain way. So I was thinking about far future, when probably something happened. I don't really want to explain what, because I don't know what happened, but something happened which wiped out all life on Earth. So there are no humans, there are no animals, no plants, no bacteria, nothing. The only thing that remains are machines, robots controlled by AI, which was created by the human race a long time ago. And this AI is basically now working towards one goal: to restart life, restart the world and restart humanity as it is. I wanted to make it like a really interesting industrial, very efficient industrial world where everything has a purpose. There's nothing, because if an AI thinks of a system, of a world, I'm sure it's going to be the most efficient thing ever. So that was my idea, to make everything look nice but not too nice. A lot of industrial type of buildings, but everything really blends together, so it has a certain kind of futuristic vibe to it. I modeled all the buildings in 3D and then I rendered it out with a nice shading and stuff like that, but from that point on I only used them as a layer, and I put together the 3D effect in After Effects, basically putting layers behind each other and moving like a virtual camera around them to give that 3D kind of feeling. This was for two reasons. One was to it gives this 2.5D style, it gives a very distinctive special style, and it really dictates how can you move the camera and what kind of shots you can make. It binded my hands, because I couldn't make like flying through the city kind of shot in 3D and stuff like that, because it was also out of the rules, because I also had to create rules for how I'm going to use what I have, what tools I have, like the 3D programs or After Effects or whatever. I had to create rules for myself, so it's a constant feeling. It has a constant style to it. The camera movement is always linear. That was the one thing that you couldn't really do in the virtual camera. If you're working with planes, that you cannot really turn around them, because then the illusion is gone. But you can move towards them, or you can do like a slide movement kind of movement with that. So that also works very well. And if you figure out where to use these kind of movements, give momentum to that scene, and you can emphasize certain things that you wanted to emphasize with the camera movement. But if you have these kind of limitations, you have to be creative in using them, and it will also help to keep the style constant throughout the whole short film. But when I created the buildings, I wanted to make like a big city full of life, but not real life, artificial life of course, but like drones flying around and different kind of transport vehicles. And I actually made a few shots of the city with like flying things all around, but I kept looking at it, because I made a render, and I always do that. I do the preview or like a full render and I want to see it. I keep looking at it. Maybe I put some music under it so I can appreciate the mood of the certain shot or scene. And then I realized it's not good. It's a still world, it's a dead world, so it shouldn't be like buzzing all around them and things flying all around all the time, because it's just going to take away that kind of dead feeling. I didn't want it to be too dark or grim. It's an industrial world, populated by AI, so it's not it doesn't have to be like dark, but it has to be empty and it has to be lonely. And the other thing, what was my idea, which worked out also pretty good, that since the robot is the one who takes the journey to meet his creator, he's basically the only one moving in the city. Everything else is still, so his movement is that much more emphasized and that much more important in the context of the film. So yeah, so I started to work on these 3D flying planes and stuff like that, made a few renders, and then I realized that it's not working at all. And that was, I think, a year worth of work. I mean, I could keep the buildings and some of the models what I did, but I had to throw away a lot of stuff, a lot of renders. So yeah, it's like that. At certain points you have to make a decision if you feel it's not going the right way, and it's always worth it in the end, because, like, you know, if it comes together and works, and it was worth decision, even if you lost a lot of time. You didn't lose everything, because for sure you learned something. At least you learned how to make a difficult decision. So that's already good. So yeah, I've been asked about the robot, what was the inspiration behind it, and of course I love Wall-E, and a lot of people told me about, like, he looks like Wall-E, and yeah, of course, he's orange and he has a similar kind of shape than Wall-E, but for me it was a much older inspiration. When I was young, I had Short Circuit 2 on VHS, and I think I must have watched it like 30-40 times. So Johnny 5 is my all-time favorite robot, like, and certain elements I took from it. Of course, the two-eye thing it's a Hollywood kind of trope, because you don't really need two eyes. You need one camera and maybe a few sensors to like, you know, figure out the distances and to be able to move in 3D, but you really don't need two cameras that just there to have a resemblance that it's a human being. So that's why I use one eye, and there are like two smaller things on the side. Those are supposed to be like IR cameras or whatever, to just, you know, figure out the distance and scan stuff and stuff like that. So I was also trying to go for a purpose with everything, every decision what I made about the robot. I went for the wheels, and they were fine. It's nice. It's not the kind of world that you would need like moving threads or something like that. Like, you don't need to be a tank in this world, because the whole world is actually designed to accommodate these kind of robots. So they just have to go. There are no steps, nothing. There are maybe a few elevators here and there, but they know the way, and so it's not necessary. Wheels are completely fine. So everything had a thought behind it, and even if it's not in the movie, I think it's very important that you have an explanation, at least for yourself, for everything, because then if it makes sense, then it's going to make sense for the audience as well. So they are not going to question it. But first, when I started to work on the robot, it was just drawing on paper. I had a few sketches, then I started to throw it together in 3D, like first the head, and then I started to move out from there. First it had like a flexible neck, but it just didn't really make sense, and it didn't look that interesting and that cool. So then I made a decision to make with these arm kind of things. I knew what kind of movement he has to do, so I designed the arm, the head holding arm around that, you know, the script, what I knew that it will have to be able to do. And all in all, yeah, it's a simple robot. It has a little bit of like cute characteristics, but I didn't want to go the full, like the Wall-E way or stuff like that, because it's really not that kind of movie. The robot is not supposed to like convey emotions at all, because they are AI. They are not going to laugh. They are not going to like have certain feelings, and that was the point, that it's a cold world, but this cold world is working for us. It's trying to bring us back. So yeah, that was my message. There is hope. There is hope. So anyway, if you got to this point of the video, thank you so much for watching. I will try to make a few more videos about Sileo, and then I will probably move on to my big next project, which is Dreamland Awaits, an art house horror feature film, which we already shot in April, May, and we already have like a teaser trailer, but we are actually going to release pretty soon a full trailer for the movie, and the movie itself is going to be finished very soon, and then we will go to the festival route and stuff like that. And I'm really excited to talk about that route as well. But first I'm going to make a few more videos about Sileo. So if you got to this point, if you haven't watched Sileo, please watch it. If you watched it already and you're interested in more, then keep watching this channel, because I'm planning to make a few more of these kind of videos about my experiences, about my thought process behind creating something. And I'm not saying that this is the right way to do it, but it works out for me. It worked for me, and I'm happy to share it with fellow filmmakers or anybody who's interested.